Good evening, I am Nisha Charles and I'm your presenter for today. Thank you for joining us for SAT TV News. Among the major developments, men urged to get tested for HIV and AIDS. New agreements boost bonds between Cuba and Haiti. Palestinian UN will hurt peace, says Israel's Regev. And in sports, Sylvester Joseph returns to competitive cricket. Details of these and other stories after the break. Thank you for staying with us. Now for the details of the news. As part of the Wharton Waven Annual Village Feast Sulphur Splash 2012, the Wharton Waven Development Committee and the villagers held a law and order lecture. The lecturer was Magistrate Gloria Augustus, where she defined crime in many ways.
A crime is a social harm that is punishable. We have all kinds of crimes. We can put them in all kinds of categories. We can talk about political crime, capital crime, crime of violence, crime against property. I mean, just name it, you have crimes, right? And they have their specific name. So for instance, crime against property would be like theft, burglary, and robbery. And a lot of people tend to not know the difference, particularly between burglary and robbery. If you leave your house closed, and somebody breaks into your house, find some way to enter into your house and go and steal, that one is burglary. If they meet you inside there, or you're coming in and they meet you after they break into their house, and they try and use any sort of force of threat of violence, then it changes from burglary to robbery.
Magistrate Augustus made the different terms very clear for the listeners. She outlined the different crimes as well as the ones suitable for the High Court and the Magistrate Court.
And you find that in terms of the kind of things that we can deal with in the Magistrate's Court, there are some things that we cannot deal with. It has to go to the High Court before judge and jury. So robbery is not for Magistrate's Court. Robbery is for High Court, that type of thing, okay? And also some crimes, for instance, when persons steal things of a certain value, beyond a certain value, it cannot be held in Magistrate's Court. Like something $49,000, $50,000 thing and so on. All we can do is take the evidence and see whether there's enough evidence to send it up to the court. There are some things that we cannot deal with. Yes, goes to High Court. Besides that, there's also, beside crimes, there's what you call civil matters or civil court, where it relates to things of the state and citizens.
She gave an example as to if you made an arrangement with someone to have your car fixed. He gives you a deposit and agrees on a price, and months later you do not hear from him, or he does not have the car parts which you gave him to fix the car. That will be classified as a civil matter.
Whereas if he came and steal your thing in your house or something like that, that would be criminal. So things between people, you go somewhere, you buy something, there's some defect, you bring it back and they don't give back your money. Anything where you take the person to court as civil, you sue them, as people like to say, that one would be civil proceedings. So we're just going to deal with criminal mainly, but you can ask about civil, but there is a difference. Now in Dominica, the age of criminal responsibility, meaning that the age at which you can be brought to the court for something that you did, is from 12.
A barbecue and bonfire will be held tonight, Friday the 30th, followed by a cleanup and set up on December the 1st, and a church service and exhibition to end the week of activities. In more news, Parliamentary Representative for the Roseau Central constituency, Mr. Norris Prevost, believes that the Carnival cruise line pullout, which occurred in 2010, was detrimental to Dominica's cruise industry. Mr. Prevost says a comprehensive and credible plan should be put in place for the development of Dominica, not only as a premier cruise destination, but also as a port of embarkation for the cruise visitors.
This is where the international airport became so critical. We already were in discussions with Carnival and other cruise lines to make the Cabrits area an exclusive port for the cruise lines. And we were also discussing with them the possibilities of they investing in the further development of cabarets, and also in the investment in the international airport, because you need that international airport to be able to bring passengers in to join the cruise ships.
He says an embarkation port is a port where people can come from all sorts of destinations and overnight most times. Mr. Prevost added that we had a good relationship with the Carnival Cruise Line and Dominica was well presented.
Dominica is a positive island naturally. We have a lot of natural resources. I mean, under United Workers' Party, our national park, Papita National Park, was enlisted as a World Heritage Site. This was a major achievement and something that the cruise lines prize. In the Roseau Valley, we have the natural resources for health and wellness. The local people are trying their best to develop their small wellness industry, and they're doing this on their own.
The parliamentary representative stated that the local associations and people involved in tourism seem to be on their own. He says there is no technical support to help the wellness people in the industry, which will add value to our natural resources.
There's the hot mineral water and the mineral mud. There's no technical expertise here brought on the island to help them. They're on their own. It's a similar thing in the marketing. The industry seems to be on its own. But I am confident that, I'm happy that Mr. Skerritt at last has gone to visit the cruise lines, and I'm hoping that this is an effort to repair the damage that has been done and to again lay the foundation for rebuilding confidence between Dominica and the major cruise operators.
In addition, he said the bayfront needs to be improved in the short run. There is a need for a reception facility, at least to the level of the reception facilities at cabarets. In terms of the vendors, he says we need good quality vending facilities on the bayfront. Mr. Prevost says the name and the confidence of Dominica needs to be rebuilt. And in agriculture, 2 agricultural experts from Florida will be in Dominica to do a survey on the extent of the citrus greening disease on the island. The disease, which is also known as the Huang lobing, originated in Asia and was diagnosed in Dominica in January of this year. Mr. Amsem, head of the Plant Protection Quarantine Unit, says that because of the seriousness of the disease, the Ministry of Agriculture has joined forces with CADI to try to combat the disease.
We have also seek assistance from the University of Florida, and the University of Florida is providing 2 citrus experts, a pathologist and an entomologist, to assist us in the management of citrus greening and its vector, the Asian citrus psyllid. The Asian citrus psyllid status in Dominica, the psyllid is island-wide, and the disease is found in the south, in the southeast, in the northeast, and in the north.
Though the disease has not been intercepted island-wide, the ministry has formed an action plan to manage the disease by eliminating all infested trees. Mr. Ansem is urging farmers that whether they see infested trees, they should call the nearest extension officers immediately.
Do not move infested materials from one area to the next. By doing that, you can spread the disease. So again, we are appealing to the farmers: inspect your citrus orchard, look for the symptoms, the yellowing of the leaves. I must advise the farmers that all yellowing of the leaf is not an automatic diagnosis of the citrus greening. There are other pests and other problems that can cause yellowing of the leaves. We're asking you to look for a patch of yellowing.
The experts will be on island from the 2nd to the 8th of December 2012 to train extension and plant health officials in the management of the disease and the vector. They will also look at our action plan and provide technical assistance to improve the management strategies.
And the government of Dominica has invested significantly in the citrus industry. They have put the resources, the financial resources, the infrastructure in place to provide true to type and disease-free planting materials to the farmers. The diseases around us, they have significantly decreased our acreages, and the whole aim and objective of the ministry is to build back the confidence of the farmer, maintain our productive level, and that will allow us to export citrus.
Citrus is very important to the GDP of Dominica, and we need to keep the industry alive for our own consumption and for export. And in health-related news, men are being urged to take advantage of all opportunities to get tested for the human immunodeficiency virus, or HIV, which is very important. This valuable word of advice came from coordinator of the National HIV and AIDS Response Program, Ms. Julia Frampton, as a sensitization campaign was held on Thursday, November 29th, for men to get free testing. Ms. Frampton pointed out that this sensitization campaign is something they try to do once or twice a year and would like to do it more often. However, because of funding and staffing, it is not possible so frequently.
But this year we thought we would do men only, because we always see women. We see some men, the numbers are not as good for men as for women in terms of coming to get tested. So we wanted to encourage men to come and have their test done. So this year we thought we would encourage men to get tested. We did it a couple of years ago and they did turn out. And today we've seen a very good turnout in terms of men coming to know their status. We know that I've always said that in Dominica our HIV, it shows that 72% of all the HIV we have among our males. So we want to encourage them to come and get tested and know their status. That we're hoping that we can make a difference in the HIV epidemic.
Ms. Frampton says their main principle to get tested is the 3 C's, which are confidentiality, counseling, and informed consent. Although some people do not want it, she said counseling is a must before and after testing, as it is vital in the effect that there is a positive result. How the disease can be managed, who one would want to know their results, and services available to control the virus.
We do not encourage that, and we won't encourage that. You need to be, because okay, if the result comes back positive without the counseling, you may freak out more than if you had had the counseling. It gives you an opportunity to understand the disease, what it entails, what your risks are, what services are available. It's not a death sentence, because you just come, you want a test, and you get a test and you go. What is that? That's not quality. We in the National AIDS Program and the Ministry of Health, we want to stress quality of the services that we provide to persons, and the pre-test and post-test counseling is a standard for testing, and we want to encourage that.
If someone gets a negative result, they will also be receiving counseling on how they can work towards keeping it that way in the form of a risk reduction plan.
If you test today and you are negative, HIV negative, you may be in what we call the window period, and the window period is the period of time from the onset of infection, so you got infected today, to when your body responded to the virus and you have antibodies to the virus in your system, when we will get a positive result. So that can take 2 weeks, 3 months, 6 months, up to a year or more for that to happen. So when you get a negative result, we encourage you to come back to get tested within at least a 3-month period. And within that period, you ought not to have unprotected sex or no sex at all, and then you can say, oh, most likely my result is negative.
Ms. Frampton added that testing is always free all year round, whether it is at the HIV and AIDS Response Program's office or at health centers island-wide or other methods, so there is no reason why people should not know their status. It has been proven socially that women have better health-seeking behaviors than men, which is why women are more upfront in getting tested, but men need to be proactive about their health like women.
People have to be smart. HIV, syphilis, gonorrhea, herpes, not written on anybody's face. So if you know you are sexually active, especially if it's not your regular partner, it is always the wise thing, if you cannot abstain or if you cannot be faithful, to use a condom all the time, every time, on time. They do work and they protect you, not against all the sexually transmitted infections, but definitely HIV. So we want to encourage persons, if you know you are sexually active, this is the way to go.
She said because of advances in testing, when one would have to wait 2 weeks in the past, now they can receive results in as little as an hour. One of the men who got tested says all men should make sure they know their status, which is very important.
Well, normally I always do this when they're doing it, You know, it's always good to have a status update. You know, even though you're having sex or not, it's always good to come and find out if you have the HIV or AIDS virus.
So what do you think is important to, let's say, if the person has it for early detection in terms of treatment? What do you think that will benefit the person?
Well, it should benefit them very good, because if they detect it early, then they can know from them what they should do and where they should go and get treatment.
The gentleman said whether or not they are stereotypical people, if we care about our personal health, we should all get tested regularly to know our status for our own benefit. At the University of the West Indies Open Campus, in collaboration with the Fort Young Hotel, held the 7th annual Dame Eugenia Charles Distinguished Lecture on November 29, 2012. The topic of this lecture is Of Heroes and Heritage, the contribution of George James Christian of Dominica to the social, political and legal landscape of Ghana, 1900s to 1940. The lecturer is Professor Margaret Diane Roosroyd Jones, former campus St. Augustine and UWI librarian. Professor Roos Jones said that heritage is a tradition people live by, their heritage and what will be handed down from them through the generations.
A columnist in the Jamaican Observer, in considering those who are held up as heroes, recently noted that it is necessary to have an understanding of their lives and sacrifice within the context of the times in which they lived. In a sense, this is obvious. What he's saying is that you need information about people and their experience before decisions can be made about the value of their contribution. However, when you are looking back in history, as we are doing, the issue of documentary heritage, something with which librarians, are very much concerned, takes center stage.
She says Mr. Christian had a keen sense of heritage, and that is why we can interrogate his life. He realized that he had deviated from the norm, and that was important for him to document his experience.
He was very meticulous in his record keeping. He had a filing system for his correspondence. He kept all the letters he received as well as copies of his replies. And he even had important letters retyped. And I mean, as a librarian, I really was amazed at this. He retyped letters on better quality paper to ensure their longevity. He wrote to his children, and he encouraged them to respond as well as to write to one another. He kept in touch with all his relatives and friends in Dominica right to the end of his life.
His papers were safely kept by his daughter Essie Foster and were donated to the UWI St. Augustine Library, where they are available for the use of scholars and researchers. He was born on February the 23rd, 1869 in Dalis. He was educated at the Michael Training College in Antigua and later returned to Dominica, where he served as a school teacher.
Now, when Christian left Dominica in 1899 to study law at Gray's Inn, he became involved in the African Association, which had been founded in 1897 by Henry Sylvester Williams from Trinidad. Williams had been planning for the famous First Pan-African Conference at least a year before Christian arrived in London. Now, Christian not only attended the conference in 1900, but he participated actively.
He contributed a wide-ranging survey of conditions in Africa, which demonstrated that he had knowledge and understanding of the atrocities of slavery and the continued domination and exploitation of African states by the colonization process. Much of Professor Roos Jones's career was spent working with West Indiana's special collections and other heritage materials at UWI St. Augustine campus libraries. And a number of dancers are currently benefiting from a ballet workshop which was organized by the Dominica Institute for Art. Director of the Dominica Institute for Art, Ms. Ashley Douglas Murdoch, says the institute recently opened on September 2012 in an effort to develop visual and performing arts in Dominica. Ms. Murdoch says the idea to bring in a foreign instructor to host a workshop was a brilliant one, as getting exposed to as much external influence possible will enrich us when mixed with our styles. She said she also encourages all artists who can come to Dominica to share their knowledge with the students, as it will be a learning process for all parties involved. Ms. Murdoch added that the facilitator of the workshop, Mr. Wadmore Casey, whose parents are Dominican, is a renowned ballet instructor who had traveled through the world working in ballet schools.
It is very important in that the creative ability of a people is important, and we tend to think that creativity, we tend to kind of underestimate the value of creativity. A country can't really develop without unleashing the creative ability of its people. And the visual and performing arts is one area where that is done very powerfully. And in fact, in many of the islands, you have schools of visual arts schools, but in most of them it's just a school for dance or a school for music. It's not many of them you have everything combined in one institute. So we are lucky in Dominica to be able to have all the art forms in one place.
Ms. Murdoch pointed out that many students at the institute are of primary school age, and she hopes that they will continue not only throughout their school life but into adulthood as well. She said positive activities such as being involved in the arts will keep young people engaged, so they will not have time to get involved in negative activities and get in trouble with the law. She says although ballet is not native to Dominica, it is a great addition to the dancers that we know and can add our character.
It's a 2.5-hour workshop. Really, we could teach dance. Many of the ballet dancers, like Miss Shani Chad, is our present ballet teacher, and unfortunately she's leaving in December. And Miss Les Lasser, Shillingford, she will take over from her. But they've done ballet for years, and it takes you quite a while to develop yourself into an accomplished ballerina or ballerina. But we think that even in 2.5 hours, we can glean some of the basic things we need to know, and the exposure and the raising of standards is essential for kind of a visioning and organizing yourself into where you want to leap into, where we want to soar into. We really want our institute to grow, to develop, and to be a big force in developing our young people. Not only young people, developing Dominican people. In fact, many persons, over 50, are in the institute.
Mr. Watmore Casey, founder and artistic director of the Fallbrook School of Ballet in Illinois, USA, who is the facilitator of the Ballet Workshop, says he is initially in Dominica on vacation to expose his children to their Dominican roots and family, so he was delighted to receive an invitation to train the students. Mr. Casey, who is a classical ballet teacher, says he also teaches contemporary ballet, so he will see what the West Indies has to offer to blend with what he already knows. He said what is very important is that the students recognize discipline. It is very important in all that they do it, and it is vital in dancing ballet since he has been dancing from the tender age of 14.
Personally, I get bored watching a long ballet feature. I think ballet is not, when I say get bored, I mean, like, for instance, if you look at a full-length ballet like Sleeping Beauty, that would really put me to sleep. But I like the technical training because ballet is a technique, it's an art form that can discipline the body for all athletes. Because I've worked with football players, basketball players, I work with athletes personally and designed this particular technique and makes them faster, stronger, much more flexible. So what is technique? Technique is maximum effect with minimum effort. And ballet brings to the table this type of training. So you'll find a lot of the major organizations, basketball players, football players, baseball players, take some form of ballet to create flexibility for reaction time.
He said his passion for ballet will not allow him to do any other profession, so it is something that he will do till his last day on earth.
I mean, it makes a good living for me, and but I don't see myself ever not teaching. It's about passing on of knowledge to something else. So no, I think that's a lifetime. And I must add to that I don't see myself not stopping learning either, because even here I am getting a revolution of knowledge. And things is so much in life that one is always learning, and if you can teach and pass on it would be great, yeah.
Any message on send to young people on the importance of ballet and different benefits they can derive from learning ballet?
Well, I wouldn't say ballet. I would say more discipline. For the youth of Dominica, ballet brings discipline. Now, if you find discipline in cultural dance and in cricket, and if you find discipline in your life, That's the most important thing. The discipline to continue the legacy of the country, the discipline to forward yourself in school, whether it be ballet, jazz, modern, it doesn't matter. Discipline.
The institute currently has a total of 120 students who come from training in various areas of arts. We all know Christmas is a time for giving and receiving while spreading love. This is exactly what one mobile company has done. Digicel teamed up with Whitchurch IGA Supercenter to launch their Christmas promotion on Friday, November 30th, which gives customers 60,000 reasons to share a smile this Christmas. There are a lot of deals for customers to benefit from, such as supermarket sweeps and the grand prize of $20,000 in cash and supermarket sweep.
Digicel Dominica. Let me add to that. We all know how tough times are in Dominica at the moment. We're giving away something real in addition to groceries and cash. There will be 15 winners every day over the remaining weekdays in the countdown to Christmas of $1,000 cash for 15 lucky winners. Every day $1,000 in cash will go to one of you, the people and customers of Digicel and people and customers of Whitechurch IGA here in the Nature Isle. L'argent cherche. It's been the
Ms. Natalie Walsh, Sales and Marketing Manager of Digicel Dominica, pointed out that Digicel continues to raise the bar in giving its customers the very best value through innovative and exciting offers. Communications Manager of HHV Whitchurch IGA, Roseau and Portsmouth, Mrs. Kira Thompson-Aird, stated that they are delighted to be a part of the promotion.
As a corporate partner with Digicel, involvement in this promotion is logical for us. Not just from the perspective of giving something back to our customers, but in being able to bring some real Christmas cheer to Dominicans this season. Whitchurch IGA Roseau and Portsmouth roles are really exciting in this promotion. Three individuals get the opportunity to shop till they drop, literally. In our Roseau IGA, thank you, and our newly established Portsmouth IGA operations in the grandest supermarket sweep in Dominica to date. Yes. So there is a future there, people. Each of the three winners get to walk away with groceries to the value of up to $10,000.
Digicel's endorsed music artist Mikkel Henderson gave the patrons at the launching something to smile about as she sang one of her favorite Christmas songs, which had everyone dancing and singing along. And in court today, Michael Bunch appeared before Magistrate Candy George for theft. The incident took place between January the 1st and November 30th, 2011, where he allegedly stole over $36,000 in cash belonging to Autotrade. He is represented by Wayne Norday and Glenn Ducre. The prosecution is objecting to bail due to the fact that they have obtained information that Mr. Bunch has gained employment in the United States. He is scheduled to leave soon and they fear that he is a flight risk. He was accosted at the Melville Horn Airport on Wednesday, November 28th. His lawyer, Mr. Ducre, says that his client is not a flight risk because he has never evaded the law. He says Bunch is willing to forfeit his job offer so that he could be here for the trial. Nevertheless, bail was denied and Mr. Bunch was remanded in custody. His trial begins on May the 17th, 2013, and disclosure is ordered by March the 31st, 2013. Magistrate Candy George recused herself from the matter. This has been the local segment of the news. Coming up next, regional highlights.